Orange and blue today, back at it again because, well, Cecil, Lammey, Andrew Mason, we've got a ton to say as I go third person, Mace. And we got a lot to say about Jarrett Stidham, maybe even a friendly debate about Stidham's performance today at OTAs.
You weren't taken with it, were you?
No, it was a little bland for my taste, Mace.
Are we talking about the press conference or are we talking about on the field?
I think it was both, really, because he did get better as the day went on. He did have the best throw of the day. But in a competition, I personally want a guy that's not Joe Flacco. It's like, that's not my job. I want a guy who's like, I'm the man, and comes out there like he's on fire. And with Stidham, it was more of a ramp up. It was more of a crescendo during the day.
Yeah, but I also think maybe he's more kind of just going to stay on even keel. I think what you're counting on from Jarrett Stidham, if he has to go in there, is doing things on schedule. Now, when it came to that, when he played in week 17, 18 last year, it was a mixed bag. There were times he was on rhythm and on schedule, times where he wasn't. Against Las Vegas, took too many sacks, for example. Now, losing Mike McGlinchey and having Cam Fleming, who's no longer with the team out there, that didn't help. But nevertheless, you saw a skittishness there that is what you weren't hoping to see. If Sean Payton was hoping for an upgrade going from Russell Wilson to Jarrett Stidham, based on those two games last season, we didn't see it. So Here we are, 4+ months later. Did he figure some things out? Did he get better? Did another offseason in the offensive scheme result in more settled play? I would say based on today, it did, but settled is just enough to be your backup.
Right. Settled isn't necessarily what you're looking for, but let's break into your question, 2 questions with the follow-up for Jarrett Stidham. And this says so much right here. Let's hear from Stidham and what he had to say.
Yeah, for sure. Definitely things, to improve on. I thought there were some really good things, some things obviously to clean up. But I mean, that's why you have the off season to fix certain things and clean certain things up and make sure, those mistakes don't happen again.
What specifically do you want to improve on?
Oh man, there's a plethora of things. There's some footwork stuff to get, not into the nitty gritty of, but some footwork stuff for sure. Just understanding, situational football and different things like that. Just different things to take away from those 2 games.
Footwork and situational football.
It's what you needed. And the footwork thing to me, Mace, says timing. Not holding on to the ball too long. Footwork is about timing. Your feet lead your eyes. And when your footwork's off, your timing's off. So that answer to me said a lot.
And you think back to when the timing was off. It was off in particular throwing to Courtland Sutton against Las Vegas in that season finale back in January.
Yeah.
That's your wide receiver 1. You could see the frustration from Courtland Sutton in that game too. Probably because he was upset that Russell Wilson wasn't still the quarterback. And here we are. Stidham can work on the individual aspects of that. He can work on his footwork. He can work on his timing. But, of course, he's not going to get the timing down with Courtland Sutton because Sutton's not here right now.
Right. It's unfortunate. And the timing of the offense is not the same. But Jarrett Stidham, in a year plus in this offense, should be the most comfortable, Mace. And, I guess with the crescendo, we did see that. Wilson looked bad. Nix had some rough spots. Stidham looked steady. I think that's fair, right?
Yeah, I'd say Zach Wilson was inconsistent, but you went right for the bad. Like you went for the jugular right there.
Didn't he look like Zach Wilson? I mean,
Yeah, he did. And Zach Wilson's very inconsistent. I mean, there are a couple of throws you'll be like, oh, that's great, right? I've said it. You can put together a really ripping highlight film of Zach Wilson with the New York Jets just this past season, and working in a Nathaniel Hackett offense. You can put together a highlight film that looks really good, but it's highlights. If you take that as the sum, you're basically YouTube scouting, as we'd say.
Yeah, don't YouTube scout. That's for sure. And if you're Jarrett Stidham, now you've got to kind of know that you're the veteran in the room. And maybe that was part of his answer to Mace when he was talking about it's just business. But it was like, also, this is a different spot for Stidham, one that maybe he's not been into because he now is the kind of veteran of the quarterback room.
Right, because in New England, in his second year, Tom Brady was let go, moved on to Tampa Bay, but they did bring in Cam Newton, who ended up starting the season for the Patriots. Jarrett Stidham didn't start that year. And so 2021, Jarrett Stidham comes back. Cam Newton's out of the mix. They draft Mac Jones. 2022, he goes to the Raiders. He's clearly a backup behind Derek Carr there. And, of course, he's clearly a backup last year. So he hasn't walked into a situation where he's had incumbency on his side. He has it now, but even then, what has it bought him? At least at the start here, it's bought him a 1/3 split of the first team reps. He got Tuesday, Zach Wilson got Wednesday, Bo Nix got Thursday. So it hasn't bought him all that much. I get the feeling, Cease, you wanted to see Jarrett Stidham, whether it was answering questions or playing ball, have a big swinging you-know-what, metaphorically speaking, right?
Yeah, I'm the man. I don't care if you drafted a first-round rookie. I was once thought of very highly, and I'm a year in this system. Kind of show that, kind of, throw it out there and show people what you are based on your knowledge and experience.
But is that what's going to allow him to consolidate his position, whether it's as a starter or clearly as the number 2 behind Bo Nix? Because what Sean Payton may want is steady, reliable, consistent. That is what he was today.
Steady,
it's the way, it's the way he was when he answered questions. That was his demeanor. Steady, not too high, not too low, not going to give any bulletin board material. Not, like I said in the earlier show, Cease, what? Did you want him to go Joe Flacco and say he wasn't going to be a mentor to Bo Nix in the way Flacco did to Drew Lock back in 2019? No. I mean, that would have opened up another can of worms.
Right.
I really had no problem with the way Stidham presented himself today.
Sean Payton talking about orphan dogs. We're looking for the alpha dog. But he also, I wanted to put this that you got a beautiful clip. It says about spreading quarterback reps. Here's what Coach had to say.
I mean, we had it in New Orleans after Drew left with it was with Teddy and Taysom. Look, we go by what we see. We try to get him as many reps as possible. We're rotating all of them right now. So Tuesday, Stiddy ran with the ones, and then Zach, and then Bo, and we'll keep doing that right now.
Okay.
Keep doing what they're doing, right?
Yeah. First of all, that wasn't the situation. Okay.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
It was Jameis Winston, not Teddy Bridgewater. By the time they had the post-Drew Brees competition, Teddy Bridgewater was in the 50-50 competition with Drew Lock in Denver, which he won, and he became the starter for the Broncos for most of the 2021 season. So I think Sean Payton was just having a rough day when he was thinking about that and trying to flash back to that. But it's the only time he's had a situation where he started off the offseason not knowing who the number 1 was going to be. And, of course, interestingly enough, you had both Jameis Winston and Taysom Hill, who were on the team the previous year. Of course, Jarrett Stidham is the only one who was on the previous year in this equation. But Taysom Hill had started. Like, he did have some incumbency because when Drew Brees got hurt, Taysom Hill was taking the reps. Taysom Hill was the quarterback when the Saints came in here for the Kendall Hinton game. So Hill had the incumbency, but ended up being Jameis Winston who ended up starting. Of course, a more traditional type of quarterback.
Right. So Jarrett Stidham out there looking steady. I think it's exactly what Sean Payton would want. And honestly, Mace, we know all roads lead to Bo Nix. Have to slow down when I say that. And that's why the Stidham-Wilson thing, it's very fascinating because you have one guy that's maybe limited physically, but is steady. And you have another guy that's very physically gifted, but wild.
Exactly. That's Zach Wilson all over the place.
Yeah.
If you watched not the highlight reel of Zach Wilson, but you watched the totality of Zach Wilson, the full Zach Wilson experience, and if you saw Broncos Jets the last 3 years, you saw the full Zach Wilson experience. That's what you saw today.
Yeah.
Some dazzling throws and then kind of Nuke LaLoosh and Bull Durham sort of all over the place.
All over the place, and this is what you get. Now, based on scheduling, we're going to have to do a Zach Wilson show, and I'm sorry, Mace, check your phone because I've got some stuff to cover. But we do have to play this. Jarrett Stidham talking about the orphan dog, the name of the day from Sean Payton.
He mentioned it today, and I just kind of let him go with it, so I didn't know where it came from. So, yeah, it's whatever he says for sure.
It's whatever he says.
It is what it is, right?
Yeah.
You just roll with it. You learn with Sean Payton, you got to roll with things.
And that's Jarrett Stidham.
And that's the Jarrett Stidham who's been around a year and knows the rhythms of his coach. He gets it.
And the rhythms of his teammates. And that's why teammates love him, because he's kind of the, happy-go-lucky guy. And we saw that in that answer right there.
And his nickname is Stiddy, but you can say Steady. In the locker room, that's who he is. That's one of the reasons why guys like him. He you know who he is. You know what you're getting. And he's a pretty good dude. Does that translate to being a good quarterback? It translates to actually being a quarterback who may be able to, in year 2, in this scheme, keep things on schedule when he's out there. And that might be enough to where we're talking about him being the week 1 starter.
We shall see. We got a Zach Wilson show coming up. We have another show about everyone else. We've got
tuned.
A Peyton Manning show, shows on and on and on. We've got them all for you. But Mace, abbreviated one tonight. So
yeah.
Apologies. We got storm rolling in. So we'll get things taken care of. So
real quick, we gotta
comment,
share,
subscribe,
hit that notification bell
so that you
never
miss a vid. That's right. He's Andrew Mason. I'm Cecil Lammey. We are OBT, and it is a BFD. Thanks for watching. Stay tuned, and would you please, as always, stay frosty.